That's grainy, doesn't it?
It does. It's probably the internet.
Shouldn't be the internet. It'd be the camera.
We're live. I got a notification.
We are live. Did my phone go off? My phone did go off. My phone just went off now. We are live. I have it muted though. Why does it look grainy?
You're live. Who cares? Welcome to Dustin and Cassie Show.
Hey, that's the part I'm supposed to say, not you. Live from Northwest Arkansas, it is episode 30 of the Dustin and Cassie Show, starring Dustin and silence. No, Cassie. As you can tell, we're at a secret location that we're not going to say where we're at, but we're somewhere deep in the heart of the Ozarks. No.
Oh my gosh.
No, we're at a friend's place today. We came here for Shabbat. And so that's where we're at. We decided because of the holiday weekend, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. We would hang out here longer than what we normally do. So anyways.
You need to ask your parents' permission.
Before you're on the internet. Well, she's been on there before, remember?
Well, I know, but you need to ask. I don't care, but we need to have.
Since we got one person watching, but nobody in the chat. If you're watching, sound off in the chat so we know who's here. We can say hi. So, there's coffee being made too for them. So people might be popping in and out. It's Cindy Sofranco.
So it's way too far, so I won't be able to read. It's just so.
Let's move it closer. Is that any better? Is that better?
I guess so.
I wish there was a way I could blow that section up. Make the video smaller. Okay. Make the chat bigger. But there's not. So, what are you counting?
Oh, it's kind of what time it is in Israel.
What time is it in Israel?
4:30.
4:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
So the Wistons are not awake.
She told me to text her. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and give the kids a camo.
Camo?
Whatever.
It's a cameo. John Wiles is watching.
Cameo.
You go in.
She said her husband almost killed him in the car just now. Hopefully you're okay. Wow, my eyes look really blue here with this green background. There's the
other. All right. Say hi.
Hi. That face. Okay, and now go away in the place. Okay.
Go have fun. Go play.
Steven's on. Hi, Steven. I got to see Steven like a week and a half ago when I was in Temple. He came by and said hi. John Wiles says hi, Leader Brands.
Hello. Hi.
Cindy said her husband flew over the railroad tracks. That's impressive in a car that you can get off the ground. So, hey, we're on the show.
Okay, hold on a second.
Anyways, okay, so Monday is Memorial Day. So I wonder if this microphone needs to be turned a little bit. Probably.
Yeah, can you hear other noise?
So Monday is Memorial Day. And where I work at, it's going to be closed. Well, the pipe plant that I work out of is going to be closed. And so I don't have to go out on Sunday like I normally would. And I don't have to deliver until Tuesday. So I got to go down around Fort Worth. So technically Monday, I can stay home till probably noon, 1 o'clock.
Yay.
And then take off. I could.
Can you guys hear other noise in the background?
My mom said she's watching on her phone for a bit until she gets to the store. Okay. Technically, I could stay home Monday night, but I would have to get up really, really early because they want their pipe in. It's not Fort Worth. I forgot that it's a suburb of Fort Worth anyway. They want their pipe like first thing in the morning, so I'd have to get up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to be there by like 10 o'clock. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's better to leave Monday afternoon, and drive down. So that's what I'll do. But we're gonna decide to hang out here since I don't have to go to work tomorrow, and so we can stay later today because I don't have to get up early to go to work tomorrow. But we're gonna do stuff around the house tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But this week on the road, nothing stands out in my mind. I had a good normal work week. Tuesday. I took about 5-6 hours off on Tuesday so we could go into town to vote for the school election thing that they had in Madison County. And yeah, that was pretty much a waste of time. because the vote passed by like 40 votes. I guess if we didn't vote, it would have passed by 42 votes. But so yeah, our taxes are going to be going up for stuff in Madison County that
some stuff is not okay. Some stuff is okay.
Yeah, but either way, it's probably things we're never going to use, but we're going to have to pay for.
Who says we won't use the trade school?
You plan on learning a new trade?
I plan on Eli learning a new trade.
Okay. But he wouldn't necessarily have to go to the one in Huntsville.
Yeah, but it's closer.
Yeah. But here's the deal. I would rather...
Oh, gosh. Here we go. Go ahead.
I would rather... And I even said this on a post by the local newspaper, which I pissed them off this week.
You made them mad.
I made them mad.
Family friendly. Where's Weetree?
Yeah, where is Weetree? Weetree! Who's Justin Clark? Hey, Justin.
Where do you see Justin?
Right there, right below John Wiles, Justin Clark. Okay. Oh, I think actually that's one of the guys I talked to. Is that one of the guys that I was talking to this week? Yes, it is. Hi, Justin. How's it going, buddy? I thought I recognized that name. Anyways, what was I saying about the vote?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I would rather.
We lost.
We lost. And I had said I would rather, as somebody who voted against it, that if it did pass, they not raise my taxes. And in exchange for that, I would either sign something that says I will never use any of their facilities that these tax increases will pay for, or that if I were to use them, I would pay an admission fee to use them. But that's not going to happen, obviously. So
don't pout about it. It is what it is. It's over
right.
with.
So yeah, so I took Tuesday off for that. No, not all Tuesday. I took about 5 hours off on Tuesday. But still, I managed to have a good week. Still about 3,100 miles this week, so it was a good week on the road. Anything else? You had a bruise on your arm for the water. Is that from the water balloon fight yesterday?
Probably.
We had a water balloon fight yesterday when we got home.
No, there was no we.
What do you mean there was no we?
Y'all bruised me. Y'all
you threw balloons too. Eli threw balloons.
I was
you threw balloons. I threw
putting water
balloons.
in the balloons, and they're throwing them as I'm putting the balloons.
So we had two different types of water balloons. We had the type that comes on the long string things where you screw down your hose and it fills them all up all at once.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, don't buy those.
Which I did not buy them. They came with the slip and slide. I bought like this slip and slide $12 cheap thing at Walmart, and Eli. So it has a sprinkler thing. You hook the hose up to the slide and you run whatever, but it comes with water balloons. And it came with those that had the string or whatever. You hook it up and it fills a bunch up at once or whatever.
Right. They have little rubber bands on them.
Stupid.
They suck. For one, a lot of them would leak. We had them in a laundry basket and they were just slowly leaking out. They weren't sealing up all the way. And then
they wouldn't break.
Two, they wouldn't break. They'd hit your body and bounce off and hit the ground, then they break. That's how she ended up with a bruise on her arm and the one on your chest. I got her right there in the chest, and yeah.
It hurt too. It hurt. I was mad at you.
It wasn't my fault. I didn't know it was going to do that.
And then I turned around and started throwing them at you.
Well, it's funny
because the ones that I got for me
that you had to fill up manually.
That I had to fill up. Yeah, they did busted good. Fine, and they didn't hurt.
But the other ones, literally, Eli was chucking them through our maple tree, and they were going through the branches and the leaves. And then breaking on the other side on the ground. That's like, really? I can't believe that they were doing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else was this week? We had some major storms in the area.
Last weekend.
There's major flooding all in the area that I drive through. Like in Missouri, there's flooding. I saw a sign yesterday. It was on 44 somewhere near Springfield that said the sign said road underwater, and it's one of them diamond shaped road signs, and you actually couldn't see the water part because the sign was underwater, so it said road under and the the water was under the water. I'm like,
a lot of
no kidding.
Water, right? Yeah.
So But yeah, I've seen flooding down in Louisiana. I've seen flooding in Missouri. I've seen flooding the Mississippi River is really flooded. I went through St. Louis at the beginning of the week, I think it was. And the Mississippi was way, way over its banks. A lot of flooding here in Indiana, too. Our property is flooded bad. Yeah, I seen some places that was supposed to be fields that was miniature lakes. So
we don't get flooding where we are, like on our property, because we're on a hill.
We're way up on a hill. If it ever floods that our property is flooded, there's 2 houses down the hill that would be completely submerged. Yeah. So we're definitely not in a flood zone.
Underwater.
I mean, there is a big creek down at the bottom, but there would have to be massive amounts of water for that to come up there. So anyway, what'd you do this week? So that's you sleep. You did more than that. You made a bunch of seats. I know that.
Well, yeah. So a while ago, I had a person email me.
I'm gonna go get coffee. I'll be right back.
Will you bring my water to me, please? It's over there, and it's in the living room on the table. So, I had somebody message me about seats. They had a store, and they wanted to order seats and have me make them for them for their store. And so they bought or they ordered 20. They ordered 20 sets. And then some circumstances changed, and so they canceled the order. Thank you. And then this last couple of weeks, he reordered again. And so I decided to just go ahead and make them all and then have them sitting, whether he comes through or not, whatever. I'll just have them sitting in stock. So that was 20 sets of seats. And I had like 6 done. And so I did the other 14 this week. But I had all the cutting of the length done, so I just had to braid it and do that. And then I had some Yahovah ones that I had to do. And so I got that done. We voted. What else? I'm trying to think. I run around every day. It's ridiculous. It actually, it's just what it is. So I had my doctor's appointment, which that's going good, but they upped my pounds this last time. And so what do you mean by that? So one of the things that I do is lay on a table and they stretch my back out. They hook me up to this machine and they pull it. It's like whatever it's called. And every week they add, or every other week they'll add weights to it. And so on how, I don't know if it's like how much they pull or what, but
it's the amount of force that they use for
and so
pulling on you.
So I can feel it this week, definitely in my back on Thursday night.
Got my coffee.
And yesterday morning I woke up and my back was really sore. Today I woke up and my back was really sore. You actually put Deep Blue on me tonight or today.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that it's been really hot. It's starting to get hot. I shouldn't say it's not really hot yet, but it's starting to get hot. So we've been in the 80s and it's been in the 90s in my house because we have no AC. So
we have no working AC.
We don't have
it needs to be recharged, and we decided to tough it out and not recharge it.
I'm not really sure if at this point, who am I benefiting? Because he gets to have his AC in the truck all week. So Eli and I are like torturing ourselves, but I know that I'm going to lose weight with it. I know that it's better for me. I know what my body felt way better when we didn't have air conditioning before. Yeah. Because we went one summer without AC, and my body felt better. And we had
no shade there.
Yeah.
In that RV. Or trailer that we lived in.
But I felt better. We did have a breeze though, which was nice, and we don't have that in our house. Not without all the fans.
Yeah, well, that's why we have a fan in almost every window.
Yeah, no, we have a fan in 2 windows.
We have 3 fans, though.
Eli has a fan in his room, and we have 1 fan in the living room and 1 fan in our bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
We need to add a fan in the living room and add a fan to our bedroom.
Okay, we can do that.
So, which is still cheaper than getting our AC fixed.
A lot cheaper.
So what else? We got stuff planted a couple weeks ago in the garden. So
we're gonna do some more of that tomorrow too, right?
We're gonna plant tomatoes tomorrow. Get them in the ground. They're already started, and
some of them are like, if we're at home, we'd show you. Some of them are like this tall already.
So they're already started. And I have some that already, So we'll get those in the ground. But thankful Arkansas has a long growing season, so we're getting them later in than what I would like to. But it's with all the crappy weather that we've had, I haven't been able to get them done. So, let's see what else.
This was our garden 2 years ago. A little like 16 by 20 patch that we did all by hand. We dug all. You can see the shovels right there.
That was painful, let me tell you.
Oops.
But that was a very rewarding garden.
See the shovels in there. We turned all that patch by hand. And now our gardens, well, that was like a 16 by 20. Last year it was a 50 by 100. This year it's more like, 20 by 100, I think?
Something.
20 or 25 by 100. Same length as it was last year, but just half the width.
Well, it was 50 by 100, so it'd be 25 by 100.
20, yeah, if it's quite halfway, I'm not sure.
It is, which I'm using all of it, though. That's the thing.
Right. Yeah, because last year on the very edge of it, we planted all of the vine plants, the watermelons and cantaloupes and everything.
We planted them throughout the other parts, and we didn't use all of it. Where this year, I'm planting all of my tomatoes and my peppers and cucumbers and corn and sunflowers. All are in the sawdust part. And then all of the melons and zucchini and squash and cantaloupe and okra are all in the part that we didn't put sawdust on.
So we did one part where we did the lasagna method where we put down cardboard and sawdust. Mm-hmm. And then the other part we didn't do anything with it. It's just what's left over from last year.
And which I would like to put sawdust down, but he didn't have time to do it this year, and so it just didn't happen.
So
we couldn't go get more sawdust. That's what happens.
Hi, Joanna.
Hi,
Gina. No, Joanna Sargent.
Oh.
Shavato.
Oh, I just not see that.
And
yes, Gina. We're still at the Lita brand.
Yeah, we brought our stuff to do it here since I don't have to work tomorrow. We decided we could stay later if we do the show here. So it's really weird that it looks so grainy.
I can't believe you woke up. It's 4:30.
It's 4:41 there now.
Whatever.
9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2,
so
3, 4.
The Woodsons are in Israel. And she said she was going to wake up to come on our show.
She can join us live? You going to do a video call with her?
No. She woke up without an alarm.
Wow.
I texted you and said we were live. That's true friendship right there.
Is it?
Yep.
We sure it's not insanity?
She loves me. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see what she brought back for me. She sent me a picture yesterday of some olive oil, some actual homegrown olive oil from Israel, and I'm so excited to try it. I can't wait.
She said she got your text. She could do Wi-Fi.
I live across the Mississippi from you all. I am one of Brother Billy's crews.
I don't know who Brother Billy is.
Don't know. But thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. No. I just noticed I have a big old scratch on my wrist right there from, I'm guessing that's from the water balloon fight last night.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who Billy Baumgartner is. No.
The other cool thing is that we are decided to sponsor.
Oh, yeah. That was the other thing with this week. I forgot about that.
To sign up and do sponsor with 90 TV.
So Wednesday night's episode this past week, it was Pounders Live, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Was sponsored by ZT's by Cassie. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. We're gonna do that for now on, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Kind of get the word out there more about your ZT.
Well, it's not only just for that, but I think that we want to show our support for John Pounders and what he's doing. So I think he's gotten a lot of crap the last couple weeks, and we just want to show our support. And so that's what we decided to do. I think people need to stop getting butthurt and just let it be done and over with. What'd she say?
Gina said it's talking about the olive oil. She said it's from Olea. They grow the olives, cold press them, and package the oil. They press and package the same day. Really nice oil. It's so yummy.
I can't wait to try it.
And Cindy said amen to what you're saying about with John Pounders.
Here's the deal. We talked about this a little bit, and here's my opinion. Which I told you like a few weeks ago that I think we need to pick a couple subjects and we need to discuss it a little bit, and not just ramble. So here is one of our discussions that we're going to talk about. We left the church. The church is an organization. It's a thing. You have the pastor, then you have deacons and elders and you have all of these people.
A worship team.
Technically, even the pastor isn't over the church technically because everybody else is in control. They can do votes and they can do things or whatever and dictate what the pastor
It depends
does.
on the church structure that's been set up. There's some churches where the pastor is
that's
the absolute,
way that it is.
Yeah, but there's others where the pastor is the absolute head and the people of the church have no say.
Okay, so here's the deal. We left the church for a reason. So let's stop trying to dictate what John Pounders does with his ministry. It's his ministry. It's not yours or ours or whatever. And if we don't like what he's doing, we don't agree with what he's doing, there's a door. There's an unlike button or unsubscribe button, and you can see your way out. You don't have to stay. You don't have to put up with it.
As they say, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Well, that's not what I say. I said don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Hey, what about keeping it family friendly?
But that's the thing. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay. You don't have to support them. But what you do have to do is respect their decision. If you don't like it, leave. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to post things and question what he's doing. And if you do want to question something that he's doing, send him a private message and ask, hey, is there something that we should be aware of this situation? Because I'm sure that he'll answer you. And if he doesn't answer you, he's going to make a post or make a video and say, look, this is what it is. Now let's drop it and be done. Instead, we have people leaving comments and people leaving, making posts and being douchebags. Sorry. That's just what it is.
And people think I get riled up about things.
But that's the thing. If you don't like it, there's a door and you can leave. You don't have to stay.
Yeah, Gina, if you don't like it, there's a door you can leave. It looks like you did and you came back.
You don't have to stay. You don't have to read things. You don't have to get involved. But I think that we have to respect each other. And we need to show love to each other. And when we're telling somebody what they're doing in their ministry, that they put their hard work in, and he did nothing wrong, whether we want to believe that or not, or have a different opinion, he didn't do anything wrong.
Joanna Sargent said there's such a thing as leaving a church without causing strife when you go. And that's what we did when we left our church. We let them know we were moving to Arkansas, and that was it there, And then she went on to say, God hates those that cause division among the people.
Okay, so I hope that you're not trying to say that John Pounders is causing division, because
no, I think she's talking about the people that cause strife.
Okay.
When they
because
leave.
I don't think that's what it is, but it's his ministry. That's the thing, when we went to church, if you didn't like something that someone was doing, you found a different church. You went somewhere else, or, you didn't cause all of these issues. It's one of the reasons I hate social media, because it's ridiculous.
And we're on social media right now.
I know. I'm just saying. That's the thing. I think that people, people, they want to feel important. And so they feel like, okay, we have a right to say something because, we're doing this or we're doing that. And it's like, if we didn't agree with what he was doing, we would just say, okay, guess what? We're not going to sponsor him, or we're not going to give to that ministry because we don't agree with what they're doing. And then you walk away and you be done.
Gina said, when we left the church, we just didn't go back, and no one even cared. No trouble caused. Facebook gives people a false sense of safety to be jerks.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and most of those people that have negative things about John Pounders or anybody else from WCTV probably wouldn't say those things to his face.
And that's the thing. If you don't like it, just leave. Just be done. But, he's gotten so much crap, and I think it's sad. And the thing is that, like, for me, how I look at it, because I don't get into a lot of the, well, he said this and she said this and this person's teaching this and this person's teaching that. I just don't get involved in all of that. If I open my Bible and I read my Bible, and if I have questions about something, I get a hold of him.
And the Bible says
talk to my friends.
The Bible says to stay away from witchcraft, and Kabbalah is witchcraft.
Okay, but we're not going to talk about that. And
well, that's the thing that you're talking about.
Well, but I'm saying is, if I don't like something, everybody, up until now, everybody has, agreed with John Pounders, and they like all of this stuff. And now they're like, oh, he's doing this wrong, so blah, let's poop on him and let's be mean and whatever. That's not the way you're going to get anybody's attention. It just makes you look like an idiot. It just makes you look stupid.
Gina said they were leaders of a ministry there at their church, and still no one even noticed that they know of.
And that's the thing is you don't have to stay. People don't care. I wouldn't care if somebody left. Yeah. Unless I love them and they're my friends.
Right.
I heard.
I think it's sad that it got so bad that John's like, you know what? I'm throwing my hands up. I'm going to take a break, which I think it's good. I mean, I think the way social media is, especially Facebook, there are times where people need to take a break. I mean, I did was it 2 summers ago? And I think summer of 2017, I took a break from Facebook for like 3 months. That's when I started out on Steam It.
Sometimes I wish you did it again, though.
So I don't get. Wait a minute.
No, he is way better than what he used to be, because he used to be the jerk that I'm talking about. And
you mean the way you're acting about? You're acting like a jerk the way you're talking about something.
I'm not acting like a jerk.
You call people a douchebag.
Well, it's hard.
Well, back in the day, I'd call people names because I thought they weren't too.
Yeah.
But go ahead, say what you were going to say about me.
Okay, same with Facebook. If you leave a page, it's okay. You're allowed to leave if you don't like it. No need to make an announcement.
Right, exactly. That's one of my favorite things to say. And actually, I think I said that to somebody on a YouTube comment on one of WCTV's recent videos. They said, "Oh, that's it. I'm done." And I left a comment and I said, "This isn't an airport. No need to announce your departure."
Well, and that's why I say I think people like have an entitlement issue, or they have I'm important, so people need to see what I'm talking about or whatever.
Right.
And that's where I think it comes from. But hopefully everything calms down soon and mellows out, because the thing that I have said from the very, probably after the first year of us being in Torah is we already have so many issues with family being we already have issues with being outsiders or being different than our families or our church. All we have is our Torah community. They're our Torah community, our Torah family. They're the ones that understand what we're going through. They're the ones that understand, what we believe in that. And so it's sad to me to see all of the fighting that happens in the Torah community, because all we have is each other. We don't have, I can't go home and talk to my mom about Torah. She doesn't understand. She thinks I'm nuts. She's okay with what I'm doing, but she still thinks I'm crazy. If I went to a church and told the pastor what I was doing, or even some of my Christian friends, they're like, you're wrong and you're this and you're that.
Even your mom understood that cooking a lamb for Passover wasn't a sacrifice.
Yes. But, we can't, I feel like I have to filter even what I say to this point, even to other Torah believers. We can't make a statement, that we can't say we're going to go and kill a lamb at Passover for our dinner.
As a memorial, as is stated in Exodus.
We can't do that without other people saying that we're making sacrifices or we're doing this or we're doing that. And I mean, even Torah believers, I mean, even you go as far as like, even, well, you shouldn't be eating meat and you shouldn't be eating this, or you shouldn't be doing this. Even honey in the Torah community. Oh, it's clean or it's unclean or whatever. It's stupid. And all we're doing is fighting with each other.
So many people adding their own man-made ideas to what the Bible says.
Cindy says it's upsetting and confusing for us newbies too.
Right.
And I get that. Like we've been in this for 5 years. 4?
Just a little over 4.
So we've been in this for 4 years.
4.5 years.
And I agree with you. Even for us, it's still that way. And that's why for me, I talk to my husband and I talk to my super close girlfriends, and that's it. And if I have a question where, I ask them and they'll ask their husbands, or I'll, I talk to him, and if he doesn't know what it is, then he'll go somewhere else, because I don't want to go and post stuff on social media. You won't see things on my Facebook about Torah very much, because I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with Torah believers. I'm not going to argue with Christians. I'm just not going to do it. It's not in me to do that.
It's in me.
But you're better at it now.
I'm a lot better at it.
Like, you're more calm.
I'm a lot calmer now than what I used to be.
But I think, I have this thing I say, smile and nod. And, we can agree to disagree. And if you don't agree with something that I am okay with, then that's okay. You can just say, I don't agree with it. It's just,
we are very lucky, Gina, to have everybody that we have in our area.
We are. Like, I am thankful for
Cindy
what
said they've
have.
only been in Torah 2 months, and Joanne said they've been in it 7 years.
Yeah.
And still learning.
I think we're all learning. We'll all be learning. But I just think the fighting and the bickering and all of this, I've been saying this forever, needs to stop, especially in the community, the Torah community, because other people are coming in, like, Cindy and them, they've been in it for 2 months and they're trying to find truth. And then they come in and they see all this drama, Cindy, and all this crap.
If you don't mind, where are you guys at in Indiana? Wait for her to answer. Keep talking. Yeah, we can't wait for the Woodsons to get back from Israel either.
I can't wait. I miss Dusty.
To be quite honest, our place seems quiet without them.
I know. And then they bought their property, so they're going to be moving, and it's going to be sad.
If we flatten the tires on their trailer, they can't move.
Where does she say? I can't read that.
Dunkirk. I don't know where Dunkirk, Indiana is at. I can look it up, though. I'll look it up. What did Gina say?
Our tour guide here was blown away that we weren't Christians, aren't Jewish, but follow Torah. He said he wants to keep up with this Torah family. That's awesome, Gina.
Dunkirk.
Dyer, Tennessee here.
Dunkirk, Indiana.
The tires. Did she say leave the tires? What's that?
Leave the tires.
What's that?
Because I said about they can't move if I flatten the tires on their trailer.
Oh. I'm literally alone in this walk with, honey, I can't read it.
Justin Clark said, I'm literally alone in this walk which just started in December for me. Thanks for you guys sharing. Oh, yeah. He's the one, his wife. He works away from home. He's a rancher, or a ranch hand technically. And
well, you don't need to give his business on here.
Well, I'm sure he's okay with
You don't
that.
need to give his business on here. You can tell me later.
Y'all pray for Justin. Pray that his wife have an open heart and open mind, and that she be absolutely, positively, 100% receptive to the truth, and completely on board and want to be in 100% union with her husband. Okay, I found Dunkirk. It's like south of Fort Wayne and northeast of Indianapolis. Cindy, have you looked on the Fellowship Finder to see if there's anybody in that area? Now UCTV has a Fellowship Finder, and so does I think 119 Ministries has a map.
Gina has pick his horses. I like that family. So I don't think we've done it on here. We haven't really. Have we given our Torah, our coming to Torah story on here?
I don't know if we have.
Okay, well, why don't we do that a little bit? So
this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I don't remember how the rest of my remake went, what I said.
Okay, so we're going to give a little bit of how we came to this walk.
Joanna said we're lagging there.
I can't.
Cindy said they celebrated Passover with Nice TV last month.
Yeah, she did tell me that.
I remember that. Okay.
Okay, so.
Are you going to tell the story?
Well, I'm going to tell my part because my part starts before your part.
Oh, really? Your part started before you were 14 years old?
Oh, shut up. I'm not talking about back then. Oh, my gosh. Y'all, okay. In 2014, right? That's when...
end of 2014 is when...
Okay, in 2014, I was going to a Bible study at our church with women. It was a women's Bible study, and there was a lady there. Her name was Trudy.
When we were living in Dixon, you were still driving over there for that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I did like that. That was the end, that like in April or whatever. I had stopped at that point. So, but I was going to a women's Bible study there, and it was older women. I was probably the youngest one. And there was a lady there by the name of Trudy, and her and I had discussed different things. We talked about speaking in tongues and different things. We were going to an Assembly of God church. And she was helping me be more of it. She was mentoring me on being a submissive wife. I had struggled with certain things and with that in our marriage, with the way that I grew up. I wanted to, I didn't want him to have control over me. And so I wanted to make that perfectly clear. He was not going to tell me what I could do or anything. That was not happening.
You're shaking the...
So, sorry, it's right in the corner of my stomach. So,
do you want to slide over?
No. So, I was very you're not my boss. I take care of the finances. I do this, I do that. You're not going to tell me what I'm allowed to do and not allowed to do. Well, obviously that was very wrong. And so would you stop?
Well, I'm just trying to hold it so it doesn't shake so bad.
So she was helping mentor me into being more submissive to my husband. And then in the process of this, I decided, you know what? I didn't have a very good upbringing in a Christian house because my parents believed in God and they went to church off and on, but it wasn't. I went to church on a Sunday school bus. It wasn't like a thing. We didn't pray in my house. We didn't do things like that, so I didn't grow up with that foundation. And but I knew what I believed in my heart. And we met on a Christian website and I knew that that's what I wanted. And so
ChristianMingle.com.
And so back when it was free. Anyways, and so I was learning how to
free now?
So
how do you know this?
It hasn't been free for a long time. And they even advertise it on TV and stuff.
It's giving you a hard time.
So, anyways, so I decided I wanted to start from the beginning. And so I said, I'm going to start from Genesis and then I'm just going to work my way to the end because you can't pick up a book and read it from the middle and get to the end and know what the whole thing is. You have to read it from the beginning.
Cindy said her and her husband Robert met on Christian Mingle.
That's cool. And so
So you started reading in Genesis.
So I started reading in Genesis. Sorry, I have a very short attention span.
You started reading in Genesis.
And I went to him and I said, scripture says that it says here that we're supposed to circumcise our son at 8 days old. So why didn't we do that? And he's like, I don't know. It's done away with. Like, we don't have to do that. I don't know.
We circumcised him on day 2, right?
And so I don't know. I was high as a kite. So
I think it was the second day.
I thought it was on the first day, but it might have been the second day.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. So
I remember they were upset because they said we were supposed to schedule that ahead of time and we didn't. Yeah. We're like, nobody told us.
So I had a C-section with him. So anyway, so then he's like, I don't know. And I went to my mother-in-law and I went to my mother-in-law who was they were following Torah they were already following Torah. And it's things that they had gotten over the years and they were doing bits and pieces of it. So she's like, well, it wasn't my place to say anything. And I was like, okay. So then I kept reading. I'm like, well, it's done and over with. We didn't know. Next child, that will happen. So then I kept reading and then we get to the dietary laws and things. And so I said, okay, we're not eating pork anymore. It was probably January or not January. Sorry. It was probably like April or May at this point. And I said, okay, we're done eating pork. We're not eating it. It's one besides.
We're not having it in the house anymore.
We're not having it in the house anymore, which means we're not eating it because I'm not cooking it. But
I'm stubborn and bullheaded and you can't tell me what to do. So every time we went out to eat, I get a bacon cheeseburger.
And he would literally, like, he respected the fact that I said, no, it's not in the house, and he didn't do it. But he, every single time we went out, he would get it. And so then I said, it's not just about what the Bible says, but also, it's really bad for you the more I looked into it. And I'm like, it's horrible for you. And so I just said, we're done with it. So this is when his part of the story comes in, because at that point for me, I had already started doing little things, but I wasn't quite there all the way.
Before I get into my part of the story, Cindy, I went onto the Fellowship Finder, and there is a gentleman by the name of let's see. There's a gentleman by the name of Jason Anderson that says he's been traveling between Fort Wayne and Anderson for open fellowship. He's listed in being in. Is it Anderson? Where is it at? Hang on. Sorry. I apologize. Their map is not very conducive for what town is that? It's north of Muncie. Sorry. And there's somebody in Bluffton too. I know that's not too far from you guys from what I can see. So he's just west of Anderson. Or is that Eaton? See Eaton. He's in Eaton. Eaton, Indiana. And there is also a family in Bluffton by the name of Joshua and Nicole Robles. Joshua and Nicole Robles. If you need help, Cindy, get a hold of us on Facebook, and we can send you the links to them so you guys can
send you the link after we're done
to hook up. You can find some fellowship there, people to meet with. We don't know them, we can't vouch for anything in them, but they're listed on the 92 TV map. So, anyways, okay. So my story. If we go, had to leave and come back. Okay, we're glad you're back, Joanna. So my come to Torah story.
Don't make it long and drawn out, please.
I won't. It's a lot of stepping stones. I mean, once like I came to Torah, I looked back on my life. I'm like, oh wow, I can see where God did this, and it started when I was like 14, to be honest. But the short, I'll start in like 2012, 2000. Hey, Mark's on. What's up, Mark? How's it going, Bowman? The short story for me really starts in about. Well, let's go back to 2009. 2009. Is when Eli was born. That's also the same year that there was the swine flu outbreak, and they came out with a vaccine for it, like really, really quickly. We were living in Michigan at the time, and during that time, some guy had said to me, he knew my wife was pregnant. He's a Canadian guy. He says, "Don't let your wife get that swine flu vaccine."
Which we weren't planning on it anyways.
But he said this. He said, "Don't let her do it." He said, "It's got a chemical in it called squalene." And he says, "It hasn't been tested on the effects it might have on a baby, on a pregnant woman." He said, "Don't let her do it." So I'm like, okay. So I started looking into vaccines. And at the same time, one of my coworkers said he'd watched a documentary on Netflix about the moon landings being faked. And he talked, in the documentary, he talks about this guy got into this museum or wherever where they had one of the spacesuits, and they also had like one of the lunar landers or whatever, the things that they had. And the guy measured stuff and found out that they couldn't get through the opening on that lander with the spacesuit, with the backpack that they had on. So said it was, they showed proof that it was fake. And I just believed that. I'm like, oh, that makes sense to me. I didn't really think much about it, but it sparked my interest in conspiracy theory stuff. So I started looking at things, of course, now talking about this stuff might get this video flagged on YouTube. So I started looking into conspiracies about, numbers like 11 and 9 and things that happened on those days, and stuff like that. Fast forward to 2012, and there was the whole blood moon craze that was going on with the lunar eclipses happening on the high holy days and the blood moon tetrads. So I started looking into those. I thought it was very, very interesting. And first I saw a video by John Hagee, and I'm like, I can't stand this guy. And then I found a video by Mark Biltz, and he was talking about it. And then Rob Skiba had a video talking about the blood moon tetrads. And so I started watching a lot of Rob's stuff. And then just wondering what you're doing.
Nothing.
So then a couple years passed, and at this point I had an office job, and I had an office job. I'm getting distracted. There's children running around now. And on my job, my coworkers were like listening to country music all day long, and I couldn't stand it. So I brought headphones in and started listening to my own music, so I didn't have to listen to their stupid wangy tangy country music. And then one day I had a thought, which I now know was God speaking to me, but the thought I had was, you're just entertaining your mind by listening to music. You could actually be getting an education and learning about something while you're working. And I'm like, okay. So I started looking for no, it's not that I don't like country music, Bowman. I do like some country music. It's this like modern country that it was, they were listening to that I don't like. I mean, I like old school stuff, like Johnny Cash and Charlie Daniels and things like that, but most of this new stuff, yeah, I don't like it. What do they call them? Guys that got sparkles on their jeans? Glitter chiggers or something like that is a term I've heard. Anyway, so I started looking for other stuff to listen to, and
that's my future daughter-in-law, just saying.
I started looking for other stuff to listen to. So I was looking for like audiobooks and stuff. So I first listened to the Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which I'd heard that before. I thought I'd give myself a refresher on it. And then I started looking for other stuff, and then I started watching for Gina must have done emoticons that aren't translating on YouTube. Anyways, so then I started listening to more stuff that Rob Skiba was talking about, and then during that time he was ended up having an online virtual conference called The Quest for Truth. It was like him and Doug Hamp and
a whole bunch of other people.
Don, was it Doug or Sharon? I forget what their name. Anyway, a bunch of people anyway. And I felt like it was something that we needed to take part in. So we did that conference. And during that conference, they had like a chat room and everything. So people could talk, just like it would be if you were at a regular conference. And people were using the name Yeshua. And I'd heard it before, but I'd never met people that like used it on a regular basis. Like I knew that was his name. That was the Messiah's name in Hebrew. But I thought it was really cool that was the name that they used, And we were talking to, people, and somebody there suggested, and I wish I could go back in the chat room and find who these people were, to be honest, really, because I would greatly thank them. Somebody suggested, that we watch this video called Truth or Tradition by Jim Staley. So I was like, okay. And then they said, well, you should also watch this other video by him called Identity Crisis. So I made a mental note that, hey, I need to check these videos out. So we went through the conference that weekend. And then, the next week at work, I had an office job. And at this point I had moved from the position I was where the girls were listening to country music, moved into another part of the office. And so there, I still did the same thing. I had 2 computer monitors, so I had to have my work on one monitor and I'd have a YouTube video playing whatever it was I wanted to listen to and learn about on the other monitor. And my boss, he was really, really cool. He didn't care, what I had going on as long as I got my work done every day. He didn't care one bit, So I usually would have, one headphone, one thing on and one off, so I could hear everything that was going on in the office while I was doing that. So I decided one day, I was like, okay, I need to watch those videos that people told me to watch. So I went and looked for the Identity Crisis video first. And first I found a video that Jim Staley did a interview with Josh Tolley, and he was supposed to debate Kirk Cameron on Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. So I watched that 45-minute long video. And it was basically Jim Staley did a paraphrase version of his Truth or Tradition. So then I went and watched Truth or Tradition. Are you getting bored? Sorry. I watched Truth or Tradition, and I'm like, oh, crap. I can't do Christmas anymore. I can't do Easter. It's pagan, and God doesn't want us doing it. So I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm done,
This is the November, right?
Yes, November. Early November. No, mid-November. Late November, early December. Before Thanksgiving. So then, it was before Thanksgiving because we hadn't come down here yet. So then I watched Identity Crisis. No, I watched Truth or Tradition, and I'm like, okay, I need to watch Identity Crisis now. So same day, one right after the other, I watched Identity Crisis, and that was the older version that was only 2 hours long instead of the one now that's 3 hours long. So I watched Identity Crisis, and I got to the end of it, and I was bawling my eyes out because I finally realized that, holy crap, I'm not just a church person. I'm not a Christian. I'm literally a part of Israel. That if I'm in covenant with the Father, I am a part of his chosen people. And he has given a law that I am supposed to follow, and I haven't been. And I started bawling my eyes out sitting there at my desk. And I jumped up off my desk, ran outside the door of the office there to compose myself. And that, I couldn't tell you what day it was. I don't know. I know it was before Thanksgiving in 2014.
But see, here's a little bit of another information with that time frame, is that I am the person, I would put my Christmas tree up in October, the beginning of October, if he let me.
I wouldn't.
But he wouldn't let me.
So it was up November 1st.
It was up November 1st is when I would do it, and I would decorate everything. And Christmas has a lot of fond memories for me, and so it's something that I love to do, and not because we didn't get a bunch of gifts and things like that. We didn't do that. A lot of the times money wasn't there, so we got clothes, and we got toys or whatever things, but it wasn't it wasn't a big huge thing, but it was something special for us. And so my tree went up November 1st. Right before we were supposed to come to Arkansas because my brother lived here for Thanksgiving that year. And a week before we were to come down here, I struggle with fertility issues, and we were actually doing treatments to have a procedure done called an IUI. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up because I don't want to explain it with a bunch of kids here, but it's intrauterine insemination. You can look it up, or you can message one of us. But we were going to have this procedure done so that we can get pregnant. And on our way to the doctor's office, which was 4 hours away
in Fargo,
our engine blew up in our car. And so that canceled the appointment. And you can't like reschedule it, for tomorrow or the next day. Like it has to be done on a certain day. And so we would have to reschedule it for the following month. And which was disappointing because we'd already spent money and time into getting to that point where we're at. But we also decided that, you know what, we can't go to Arkansas now for Thanksgiving because one, we don't have a vehicle other than his S10, and that's not going to fit the three of us and, our stuff. And
we weren't sure if we'd make all the way to Arkansas back anyway.
Arkansas.
Right.
And like, it just wasn't feasible. We had to have money for a new vehicle. And so we decided we're not going to go. And then a few days later, you found a car.
I found another van.
You found a van, and you found a van, and so your dad took me to go look at it because you had to work. And so his dad is the mechanic, and his dad said he would go and look at it for us. And so
I trust my dad to look over a vehicle and know if it's a good sound mechanically running vehicle or not.
And so we did that. So he took me and we went and looked at a vehicle, and he said everything was fine and that it was good to go. And so I called him and let him know that. And then, the salespeople, it worked in our favor, but I mean, it didn't work in theirs. He was negotiating because I said, I don't want anything
I was
to do
negotiating
with
them over the
I'm
phone.
horrible at it. So he was negotiating with them on the phone, and I'm just sitting in the lobby waiting for, to drive my car home. And so the guy is telling him one price, and then Dustin would put him on hold, or he would put you on hold. And because you would tell him a price, and then he would put you on hold and say he had to talk to his manager. And then he's just sitting there like bull crapping when the guy next door wasn't even talking to a manager. And he's like, I'll take this much, but I'm going to tell him this and whatever. And so the whole time, thanks to technology, I'm texting him and I'm like, they won't go lower than this number.
Well, he was trying to get another $500 out of me is what he was trying to do.
I'm like, just stick with this number. And so he said, okay. So they finally negotiated. Well, then I got home and I took the van right to you, and he looked at it, and the ad said it had a navigation system, and that it had a navigation system. And then when you looked at it, it didn't have
a navigation system.
It needed an oil
change, and it had an empty tank of gas when they gave it to us.
I had to go straight to the gas station to get gas because the light was on.
So I called the dealership back because I had sold cars for about 5 months. I'm like, look, I said, this is very, very crappy customer service on your part. I said, you sold us a vehicle that had not been serviced. It's required an oil change. I said, and it didn't have, didn't have gas in. We had to go fill it up right away. I said, plus you sold a vehicle with nav that said it had nav, but it does not have nav. And so they said, well, we don't normally fill a vehicle up, with gas. I said, dude, when I worked at a dealership, I said, it didn't matter if that car was a brand new or if it was used vehicle. It went out of the lot with a full tank of gas. I said, whatever. I said, that's poor customer service on your guys' part. They said they would take care of the oil change part. And I said, well, the nav, I looked it up. I said, you guys got two options. You can it's $600 for the nav system. You can either get the stuff and put the nav system in. I said, or you can refund me $600 for the nav system because you sold me something that does not have what advertising it has.
So they ended up sending us a $600 check.
So I bought a car and I got paid $600 back.
We had to have zero down for the car, which was a huge blessing. And so it was like, wait, we got it. We can go to Arkansas now. And so we drove down here, and we had money.
That was the thing.
We had extra money at this point. And the huge thing for that was the fact that when we came down here, my brother and his fiance, at the time, they were struggling, and so they didn't have food. They didn't even have a table or chairs in their house. And so we were able to bless them. What is that? Anyways, we were able to bless them, and we got them a table and chairs. And we had Thanksgiving with them, and we actually had turkey ham.
Yeah, because I made us think about it.
And so, but we were able to fill up their cabinets before we left. the thing is we fell in love with Arkansas when we came down here to visit. And when we went back home, him and I had been started talking about wanting to move out of the cold and out of North Dakota. But we didn't know. I'm like, I don't want to go down there. It's tornadoes and stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, I would love to live down here with where my brother is and be closer to him, be closer to family. And so Eli came to us. We were talking about privately, and Eli came to us and said, I want to move closer to Uncle John. I want to move to Uncle John's. And that was like confirmation for us. Okay, then we need to move. So this was in November.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the end of November, Thanksgiving. So then come December, I messaged him.
Well, hang on. You're going to skip my part of it, though.
Oh.
So when I had my...
Oh, hold on. Sorry, one thing. The thing with, I feel like, and him and I have talked about this a lot. If with the engine blowing up, that was a random weird thing. I feel like the enemy was trying to stop us from coming here, because I would not have agreed to move here if we hadn't came and visited. And I know that the Father knew that he, in order for us to be where he needed us to be, he had to show me that I would like it here. And he put it in our son to tell us, because he knew I would listen to him.
So when I had my day where I would call my coming to Torah day, I knew I was done with Christmas and all that kind of stuff. But I knew I couldn't just tell her, hey, we're not doing Christmas anymore, because she's not the type where you can just tell her to do something, and if she don't want to do it, she's not going to do it. So I told the Father, I said, look, I'm giving Cassie Christmas of 2014, but you and I got to work on her for 2015, because I don't want to go through this again. But God had a totally different plan. So Eli's birthday is in the middle of December. So
I messaged him. He was at work, and I messaged him, and I said, what's going on? I asked him about Eli's birthday, what he wanted to do. And he's like, whatever you want to do is fine. You just do everything. It's fine. And I'm like, no, this is how this works. We have his birthday and Christmas coming up, and I need you to participate. Like, I need you to be involved in it, because it's not worth it to me if you're not involved in it. Then I just don't want to have anything to do with it if this is how you're going to be. And I thought he was just being a meathead about things. And so he said this, and it was a Tuesday. I just remember it was in December, but it was a Tuesday. And he sent me the Truth or Traditions video, and he said, here, watch this. And so I think you sent it to me Monday, and then Tuesday morning was when I had time to watch it. It's a 2-hour video, and it literally took me like 8 hours to watch it, 9 hours to watch it. Because I had a 4-year-old. He was 4 at the time. 4-year-old. He's 4, getting ready to turn 5. And it was busy, so I would play it, and then I would stop it, and then I would write notes, and I would rewind, and it's just like how my brain, I have to write things down to remember them, and so that's how I function. And so I literally watched it all day. We didn't talk about it. We didn't discuss it really or anything. I just told you that, I don't even know if I told you I watched it.
I don't remember.
And that was Tuesday. Thursday, I asked Eli, I said, okay, Mommy wants to take down the Christmas tree. You know what we watched the other day? Because he watched some of it with me, and he's seen bits and pieces and stuff. And I said, for right now, I think we need to get it out of the house. And he says, well, will I still get presents for my birthday? And I said, yes, you'll get presents for your birthday. Your birthday has nothing to do with Christmas, but I want to get rid of all this Christmas stuff. He says, okay. So he came home from work, and everything was down and put up, and it was like completely 2 days later. And so
then she was completely on board with it.
Which honestly, and it's a lot for me to admit this. In the first 2 years, I think I was just going with the flow. Like, it wasn't that I disagreed with it. It wasn't necessarily that I agreed with it. It was a lot of change, and I don't do well with change. And it was a lot of change for me between moving from there to here.
We haven't got to the part about moving yet.
And but all of that. But we continued to go to church. We continued to go to church for a few months. We went to the Christmas pageant play thing because Eli was involved in it. It was horrible and we hated it, but it was what it was. And so then we started looking for places.
Well, I kind of wanted to try to bring more Hebrew stuff into our church. I happened to meet a guy at the gym who was from Israel, because I was walking around and I have a tattoo that's in Hebrew, which this says Eli in Hebrew, and he saw my tattoo and he remarked about it and asked me if I had any connection to Israel, if I was Jewish or anything. And I said, no, not that I know of. I said, but that's my son's name. He says, I can read it. I know what it says. And so I wanted to learn Hebrew. So I asked him if he would, teach Hebrew classes at our church. And he said he would. He was, he's a guy that's Jewish by birth, but not by practice. He doesn't practice Judaism or follow the Sabbath or do any of that stuff, So he decided, he said, yeah, our church was okay with, some people wanting to learn Hebrew. We had about half a dozen or so that said they were interested in it. So he shows up for the first meeting and he's like, okay, well, two things, rules about these meetings. We're not going to bring religion or politics into any of it. And I'm like, how are you going to learn Hebrew?
But then the first thing he brings out is Genesis.
He brings out Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1. That's what the first thing it was that we're going to learn. So that only lasted a few months. I actually had to remind the guy. We were doing it like Tuesday nights.
I don't even think we did it for a few months. I think it lasted probably a month.
I had to remind him every Tuesday about the meetings and everything. So, but anyways, so then once I come to this realization, it's like, holy smokes. I mean, like all this stuff I've been taught in the church my whole life is a lie. And one of the things I forgot to mention before is that I'd always grown up believing in the pre-tribulation rapture. And in like 2012 or 2013, somewhere, I watched a documentary called After the Tribulation that talks about that the pre-tribulation rapture idea is not biblical, and where it came from, how it started, and all that kind of sort of thing. So I'd kind of gotten rid of that idea of the pre-tribulation rapture before coming to Torah. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted to move south, because it's like, we're going to live through the tribulation. We've got to go through 7 years of being self-sufficient and self-sustaining. So I started looking into homesteading stuff, how to, live off grid and things like that. So then coming into Torah, I started like looking, I'm like, I got to relearn, And so I started looking for videos. At first I started with, PFT, Passion for Truth videos, Jim's daily stuff, And then you got the wonderful YouTube sidebar, if you like this, check out this video, So then there was 119 ministry videos. And then this Mr. Anderson series of videos popped up by New to Torah, and Zach Bauer from New to Torah was doing this Mr. Anderson series where he was addressing Stephen Anderson, which is one of the pastors in the After the Tribulation doctrine. I'm like, hey, I know Stephen Anderson, which I knew he was kind of a guy that's a little bit wild, in his beliefs. So Zach is addressing this, Stephen Anderson on some of his stuff, whatever. So I love Zach's stuff, So I started with the Mr. Anderson series. And started going through all those, and I started watching more and more and more of Zach's videos. And then I discovered his American Homestead channel. I'm like, holy smokes, this guy's living off grid. He believes the same things I believe. He's living the life I want to live. I'm like, so it was like every day at work, 12 hours on my desk, Zach Bauer, whether it was an American Homestead video or it was a New to Torah video, that's what I was watching. It literally, okay, now, granted, we were living in North Dakota, working in the oil field. Everybody had to be clean shaven. Nobody had beards. But there was a bearded guy on my computer screen like all day long, and Zach's got a good-sized beard. So I got to the point where my coworkers are like, okay, what's with the dude who looks
he's not going to shave his beard.
My coworkers like, okay, what's with the dude who looks like a terrorist that's on your computer screen all day long? And which they knew that I had changed my eating habits and how, because we used to, at work every Thursday, we'd have a morning breakfast there and order from a restaurant. And, and once I came to Torah, I stopped eating pork, so first time I ordered steak and eggs, they're like, what are you doing ordering steak and eggs? I'm like, hey, I don't eat pork anymore. So they kind of knew. So I told them, hey, this guy's believes the same things I believe, and he's living the life that I want to live someday. So I'm just learning, so no big deal, So then fast forward like another month. This is what, middle of January or February sometime. I had messaged Zach, and he had promoted some show on his YouTube channel called Homes Unplugged. And we had sent in an application. Basically Homes Unplugged would help people who want to move off grid, help them find land or a setup to move off grid, and they do a show about it. So we had sent in an application to be on the show. They said, yes, we'd like to do an interview. So I sent Zach a message on Facebook, and I told him, hey, my family's got an interview for that show you're promoting. Can you give us any advice how we could ace the interview and maybe end up on the show? So he basically said, just be yourselves and be who you are. Don't try to be fake and that sort of thing. And then so I talked to him, told him that we were new to Torah and that we were looking at maybe moving down south. We didn't know where. We were looking at maybe Texas or Oklahoma.
That way he could transfer.
Or Arkansas possibly. Because the company I worked for had a facility in Ardmore, Oklahoma. So I could just transfer down to that facility and work there, work out of there, and then we could rent something until we found something in one of those 3 states we wanted to buy. And then, so he said there was a lot of people that were in Torah that were moving to the Ozarks. And I said, I know. I said, my parents had some friends that moved up from Florida, that moved up to Arkansas. And he said, well, is it the Adamses? I said, I don't know who they are, but I'll find out. So I sent my parents a text message. I said, hey, what's the name of your friends that moved from Florida up there?
It wasn't the Adams.
It wasn't the Adams. But I had a thought. And again, it's one of those things where I thought it was my thought, but it was actually God's thought. The thought was...
It's just my husband. His stalker ability.
No, it's not. It's seeker, not stalker. There's a difference. But the thought was, Zach knows somebody by the last name of Adams that moved from Florida to Arkansas. Let's find out who they are.
Yeah. I know, we're extra long tonight.
You're fine. So I go on Zach's Facebook and I start searching, searching for people.
You didn't say you're Cassie.
I'm not Cassie today.
My buddy Tom. He was in a previous Dustin and Cassie show, posing as her. Go back to middle of December, end of December. Anyways, so go on Zach's Facebook, search for the last name of Adams, and I start going through all the people and everything, And I see this guy by the name of Matt Adams that has 3 mutual friends with me, but we're not friends. So I clicked on him. I'm like, trying to figure out who is this guy, because the 3 people that knew him were all people that knew me, but they didn't know each other that I knew of. And so
I'm hungry.
I started scrolling through, and I immediately recognized his cover photo was him with his 4 daughters. And I recognized his oldest daughter had been in a picture Zach had posted a few weeks prior with Jamie and his oldest daughter. And it had said that, his neighbor's daughter was over helping Jamie make bread. So I'm like, okay, so I know Matt Adams is Zach's neighbor. But what?
Can we make it shorter?
I don't know. Can we make it any shorter?
Yeah. It turns to find out that Matt Adams' wife is somebody he went to church with growing up.
Like 20 years ago. And that I had totally forgot about.
And he actually was at their wedding.
And I forgot. Anyways, so when I come to this realization that somebody I knew from a church I went to when I was a teenager that I forgot even existed was now the next door neighbor to Zach. That's when God spoke to me and said, I took somebody from your past that you forgot even existed, and I moved them right next door to Zach to show you that I'm taking you to Northwest Arkansas.
So a few months later, we went to Arkansas.
One of those moments where I started bawling my eyes out again at work and I had to run out the office door, compose myself. And then I furiously messaged Zach, like, tell Tara that I said, that Dustin Wells that she went to church with, blah, blah, blah. I said hi. And he's like, Tara? I'm like, we went to church together when I was a teenager, And so that Zach called me that night and had to, we had to talk about that whole situation and everything. And I'm like, man, we're coming out of Northwest Arkansas. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know where, but we're coming. And
then in March we went to Michigan. Went to Michigan. And when we left North Dakota, everything was all good. We came back to North Dakota. We went to Michigan to do some stuff and visit family and stuff. And we went back to North Dakota. It was like everything had broke. Like the oil field was going down, and it was really bad. And so
things were really starting to slow up.
At that point, we decided, it's better to get out while
the getting's good.
And so he showed us and said Memorial Weekend. That's when you're going to go, which is kind of funny since this weekend's Memorial Weekend. So he said, this is when you're going to go. Well, we had just, spent our money on a vacation and doctor stuff in Michigan. And so it was like, okay, well, I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to start planning for it. And so we started planning for Memorial Weekend. But the way that we were in employee housing, and so we couldn't say anything to his boss and we couldn't say anything to the apartment until we had everything.
Happy anniversary, Mark.
Until we had everything planned out. And so
my plan was, in order for us to move, I was going to cash out my 401k and use that for our moving cost.
Well, then we found out you can't do that until you're not working there. And so...
But I could take out a loan on it and take out half of it.
And so we had asked my mom if we could borrow money for the U-Haul and everything. We got a housing planned. We got everything planned. We
had found a storage unit, found an apartment, and the whole 9 yards.
Yep. And so... now I might cry. So he told his boss, he went into his boss. His boss had already told him that his job was secured. But he didn't have to worry about it.
Like 2 weeks before Memorial Day, my boss pulled me and the guy that was right below me.
It was before that. It was more than 2 weeks because you gave 30 days notice.
No, but 2 weeks before I gave 30-day notice is when he told me.
Yeah.
2 weeks before I gave my 30-day notice, my boss pulled me and the guy that was right below me into his office and said, hey, you guys know that things aren't going good. Things are slowing down. I just want you guys to both know your jobs are secure. You don't have to worry about anything because if with less truck drivers, you need less dispatchers. And me and this other guy were like the top guys there. Like there were certain guys there that could only certain guys only dispatch freshwater. That's all they could handle. There were certain guys that they just did the saltwater side. That's all they could handle. But me and this other guy, we could run the whole show. Basically, the two of us together could run the whole thing without the other guys. So my boss said,
where Eli gets it from.
What? Talk with my hands?
No.
Oh.
So many details that aren't necessary.
Oh, anyways. So my boss had told me and this other guy that
your job was secure.
Our job is secure. We don't have to worry about anything.
He went to his boss and said,
on Monday morning,
I found out a way to save you.
Oh, can I tell this part?
Yeah.
So
as long as you do it quickly and not with all.
I went into my boss's office Monday morning, and that morning I gave our apartment complex our 30-day notice that we were leaving. So this is end of April, right?
We were in employee housing.
Yeah, we were in employee housing. Yeah. So I had to give my 30-day notice at work and at our apartment at the same time. So end of April this would have been because we moved on Memorial Day. So end of April, that Monday, I went into the office. I shut the boss's door and I sat down and I said, Darren, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news for you. He said, okay. I said, the good news is I figured out a way for you to save $75,000 a year on your annual budget. He kind of smirked. He's like, okay. I said, the bad news is that way is that I'm going to be leaving in 30 days and I'm moving to Northwest Arkansas. He's like, oh, okay. And then so I kind of went on and explained. I said, you know what, my faith, my beliefs is and that. And I said, I feel that, God's calling my family to move to Northwest Arkansas. And he's not a man of faith by any means, but he's a respecter of persons. And he's like, okay, that's fine. That's, he says, that's cool. He says, no big deal. And I said, look, you got 30 days. I said, I'll train the other guy, get him where he's all squared away. He can take care of everything I can do. That way you're not in a bind on anything. So that's fine. So then Tuesday, the boss wasn't there. He had to go to a meeting up at the headquarters. And then Wednesday morning, he came back and he had issues with his computer. And I was kind of, I know a lot about, technology, computers and stuff. So before we'd actually call the company's IT, I would see if I could take care of the problem without having to bug them. So I was in there working on his computer and I'd rebooted it and it was taking a while to reboot. And so while I was standing there waiting to make sure that the fix I applied worked, he hands me this envelope. He says, here, I've got this I'll give you this while you're here. And I'm like, what's this? I opened it up and I started reading it. And it was a letter from the CEO of the company and it was a year-end bonus. Normally we would get our year-end bonuses in February, but because of all this stuff that was up and down with the oil field at that time, they didn't give out year-end bonuses and nobody thought they were going to get a year-end bonus. And so we kind of forgot about it. Well, the meeting he went to on Tuesday, they had liquidated a portion of the company. And so they had $85 million to work with to pay people their year-end bonuses they hadn't paid them. So the meeting was to decide how much each person was going to get. Do you want to tell the rest of the part or do you want me to just keep telling it?
So
I
it was $7,500.
Yeah, there was a number at the top that says 75. So it was a $7,500 minus taxes year-end bonus check that we was not expecting. And then I started crying and then he says, I looked at that because this guy, he was the type of guy that like the truck drivers would get quarterly bonuses, and if a truck driver quit before their quarterly bonus check had been shipped, he'd call payroll and say, hey, this driver quit, pull that check. They're not getting it. And so the day after I gave my 30-day notice, he decides to give me this year-end bonus, $7,500. And he says, I figured that would help you with your move to Arkansas. And I started bawling my eyes out, and I was like, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it. Later on, after we'd moved, I thanked him for that, and I said, I couldn't believe that. I said, you were the type of guy that pulled drivers, bonuses and stuff. And he says, you earned that. He says, that was yours, So God, even that he provided, that provided for us for all of our moving costs to get down here, the hotels, the whole 9 yards. I mean, like the whole first week we were able to move here comfortably, no financial stresses whatsoever of changing jobs in the whole 9 yards.
And we had probably for a month. I mean, we had enough, like we put enough aside that we were good for a while because you had a job coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran into issues when we got down here. The apartment that we had was disgusting, and we didn't get that, so we had to find another place to live.
We just moved 1,100 miles and then found out that we were going to be homeless because we were not moving into the apartment that we had originally set up.
And but then the cool thing is that the apartment that we ended up getting was the one that I really wanted, but they didn't have any available when we called.
We looked 2 months prior.
And so
she said her bonus was a company T-shirt. She got it yesterday.
So we didn't have, but the apartment that we ended up getting was exactly what I wanted at the place that I wanted. They had one available that we could move in that day.
All we had to do was get the water and electric in our name.
Yeah.
And we did it that day.
And we were able to get in. And so I guess, that's our coming to Torah, all of that.
Moving to Arkansas
story. But I think that the biggest thing that I want people to realize or to maybe learn from, I guess, I don't know, is that he prayed and he specifically said, okay, Father, you have to be the one to change my wife's heart because she's not going to listen to me. And that's what he did. He prayed for me, and he, as my husband, he should be praying for me anyways. He didn't realize that on the side, I had been praying for things to change for my own heart, and I still do. When we have a disagreement about something or whatever, is one of the things that I do, and even with my friends or whatever, is if I see something that I don't like or that I don't think is okay or whatever, I take it to the Father and I ask him, if I'm wrong, show me that I'm wrong and change my heart. It's not just, hey, change his heart and make him do what I want him to do or make her do what I want her to do. I always go to him and I say, okay, if I'm the one that's wrong, because if I'm wrong, I want to know that I'm wrong, but change my heart to where, it doesn't bother me because I don't want it to bother me. And through that whole experience of us, moving down here, we would before that period, we would stress about things. And I'm a worry. I worry and worry and worry. And he doesn't. He's never really worried. At least he's never worried vocally. But that whole time, it wasn't. Neither one of us were like, this is when he told us to go. We're going. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen.
Flying by the seat of our pants.
We don't know anything. We rented a U-Haul. We, got an apartment.
Even that was a challenge.
It's like
we were supposed to have a U-Haul right in our town, and the day of that we're supposed to pack everything up, they said, "Oh, your U-Haul's not here." We had to drive 90 miles to get a U-Haul and bring it back to our place.
And that's the thing. Gina says, if God is in it, he provides the way every single time. Dustin has always said, since him and I have been together, he has said, if it's God's will, it's God's bill.
And that's a saying I got from my mom.
And it's the truth. If it's his will, he will provide a way. No matter what, he will provide the way.
All that is required of you is to have faith and patience and trust and wait on him. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. That's it.
When we got into our house that we're in now, you know, we weren't looking for a place. We weren't doing things. That was like far from our radar.
That was not getting into a home when we got into a home was not in our plan at the time.
And he said to me, which was weird, he said, honey, it's going to take a miracle. Like he found the house and I said, let's go look at it.
It was just posted. It was just like posted in a random buy and sell trade group on Facebook.
As soon as we went, we drove up the driveway. I was like, this is our place. Like I knew right away. I didn't want to go inside and look at the house. I didn't need to. I knew there was a peace that came over me that I'd never, ever felt in my entire life. And I knew that that was our place. And he said, it's going to take a miracle. He said, I don't want you to get your hopes up. And I'm like,
because I was being realistic.
Like I know that it's ours. 2 months later, we're in our house. And
no money down.
0 money down. We had nothing. That's the thing is that if he is the center, he takes care of everything around it. He just does it. And if we don't worry about it and we don't stress out about it, and you know, one of the things that I'm learning, that I have been learning, and I'm teaching our son, is that, and you know, in the Exodus, it talks about how angry he was with Israel because they complained, and they complained, and they complained. They pulled Israel out of Egypt and out of slavery, and they still complained. They just complained. And it says that it made him fiery mad. I don't want to be that person. I don't want him to be mad at me. I don't want him to be angry with me. I want him to say, well done. And so that's something that we're trying to do is, you know, not complain about things, be content in our life, but seek him and pray and pray for each other constantly. Like that's something that I have done that I didn't do before, is now I pray for my husband every day, even when I'm mad at him. It's probably when I pray for him the most. But
I don't know if you can read the comments, but Bowman said your guys' testimony is what I needed to hear so badly this week. Thank you guys so much. You recharged my batteries. Joanna Sargent said, we went 3 years with only a $300 a month income with $700 bills. God made a way, and all the bills were taken care of, plus my husband's medical bill. It's true. If it's God's will, it's his bill. Cindy also said, I too needed to hear this. Thank you for following God's lead and sharing with us. And then Bowman again said, thank you for doing this. And then Justin said, yes, me too. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome, I guess.
That was you that said that we needed to share it.
That's the thing. I've seen I have a hard time reading. And so usually we have a big screen behind the computer so that I can actually read the words. So he's got to read everything.
We didn't bring the TV with us here.
But just keep praying for your wives, and we'll be praying for you guys. But lead by example. Don't, there's so many people that come in this and they want to be forceful. They want to make their husbands or they want to make their wives do things. And I'm so thankful that he did not do that, because if he would have, I would have ran in the opposite direction or went the complete opposite way. And so it's like, just pray for them and lead by example. You, as especially men being the head of the household, I feel like, don't shop on Shabbat. Don't do these things. And they'll see it, and they'll see what you're doing and the blessings that the Father is giving you.
And at the same time, lead by example, but don't compromise, I would say.
But you don't have to compromise, but you don't have to be hateful about it either.
Right.
And that's the thing is, if your wife wants to go and shop on Shabbat, you can say, I don't agree with this, so I'm going to stay home. And let her go do whatever, because eventually, I promise you, she will stop. I promise you, she won't even ask to go do that or whatever. But if you stick with your guns and you do it respectfully and lovingly, she will be there.
If you, and this is something I've said too, if you honor God, he will honor you. If you honor the Father and you follow his commands, he will honor you. I've had instances with my previous job where they want me to work on Shabbat, and I refused. But it got to the point where it was like, either if I don't go to work, I might get fired. So the one time I went and showed up to work on a Saturday when I want to, and I made it very clear, I do not want to be here. I do not want to work.
But you even prayed, Father, I don't want to do this. I feel like I have no choice, but I don't want to do this.
Because I didn't want to be put in a position where I could lose my job. So I showed up to work. I punched in. They were handing out everybody's list of loads to do, and they gave me a list for to do. And there was another guy there, and they didn't have anything for him. And I looked at the manager and I said, "Look, I don't want to be here. I don't want to work. He wants to be here. He wants to work. Here, I'm giving him my list. I'm out here," and I grabbed my time card and I punched out and I walked out the door. That's it. So I mean, it was like and that's the thing, people. Sin can be a physical thing, but sin is also a matter of the heart. Like Yeshua said, it's the letter of the law is thou shalt not kill. But if you have hatred in your heart towards your brother, you've already murdered him in your heart. In my heart, I did not want to work. In my heart, I did not want to break the Sabbath. And I honored the Father in my heart. And even though man said, you need to be here, and then the Father last minute showed up and there was somebody else there that gave me the opportunity to not have to work.
But he's always provided a way. Do we live a luxurious life? No. I mean, we live paycheck to paycheck.
Do I make the kind of money I made in North Dakota? No.
We
still live paycheck to paycheck in North Dakota because the cost of living was so high there.
But it's, we live paycheck to paycheck. We have a lot of debt, but he always provides a way for us. He has always provided a way. We don't have everything that we would like, but we have everything we need. We have a house. We have beautiful view. We have land. We have the ability to have a garden that some people don't have. We have the ability to do things because he's provided a way.
We have the ability to provide a place to stay for other people that did not have a place to stay and that did not have a home. We have that because the Father provided it for us. And it's
him. It's not from us. It's strictly from him. And if you follow him and you seek his guidance, he will do it. He will always, always, always provide. It may not be something that you necessarily like or something that you want, but he will always provide a way. He will always provide. I mean, even this last year at Sukkot, he just started a new job. He's been there about a year, almost a year now. No, July would be a year. Yeah. And so he didn't have any vacation time and he had to go, and we're like, okay, well, we need to take this time off. It's the only time of year off, the only time that he takes off, like for long periods of days.
For a week.
And so that's our vacation time. And what happened? Like a week, or his bonus check came in right before.
It wasn't right after?
No, it might have been right after.
So when I wouldn't have had a paycheck.
So when he wouldn't have a paycheck, his bonus check came in.
It was my 6 month bonus check.
And it was exactly the amount that he would have had he worked. And so it's like he said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this time off and we're going to do this because this is what the Father says to do. And he provides a way. That's the one thing, he's always so, so gracious and he's always so loving and caring. And, none of us deserve it. We definitely don't deserve it. We don't deserve anything. But he does because he loves us and because we love him. Anyways.
I thought we were going to make this a short night tonight since we're at somebody else's house, but.
I know. I feel like we kept being rude to them, but.
I'm sure they don't like it. But I think on that, okay, let's see. Let's go back up. Joanna said, thank you for sharing our struggles, helps others in theirs to see us staying faithful through it. Oh, Patty's on Patty Hall. She said, testimonies are so powerful. Gina said, I just said to Philip, you better recognize, and he snapped too. And then she said, I'm just kidding. Cindy told Patty that she's right. She's so right. Justin said him and his wife have been married 22 years. And she's a real cowgirl, so there's no telling what to do or telling her what to do. Sorry. And then Gina was talking about Philip saying he went into mental depression, didn't want to talk to anybody.
When he found out the truth.
Right. And Gina said that her and Justin's wife are bound to be friends. Well, I guess Justin's going to have to move to Arkansas then instead of Texas.
Gina loves horses.
Yep. And then Bowman said, Justin, I've got it, brother. I have been with my wife 15 years, married 6, and she's Irish, so LOL. And then Gina said, yes, you do. Justin said his wife is Irish as well. Joanne said she's laughing at Bowman and Justin. And Justin said he loves us. We love you too, Justin. Cindy said she loves us. Holy Spirit led tonight, dudes. Many ears needed to hear this. And I pray there's many more that hear afterwards. I'm Irish too. I'm German and Irish. Those people are, both cultures are very stubborn. But yeah. You can't see, she's pointing at me behind the microphone.
Very, very stubborn. But so am I. I don't know what I am, but
for the new people, like Cindy, as you're learning, forgive those who are unloving.
And she said that there was something earlier. She said that tomorrow she's going to talk to her church, and just know that be prepared to get crap. Like, be prepared for people to be upset. Be prepared for the negativity. We pray that doesn't happen. But be prepared for it to happen, because it could very well, and more than likely, that's what will happen.
You'll be rejected because of it.
Yes. But know that now you have found friends and family here, and I've already been in contact with you, but you can message me and we can talk. If you need somebody to talk to or whatever, because I get it. Along with any other people here will understand. We'll be praying for you guys. And we'll be praying for the wives to be opened up to truth.
Gina said she found out recently she's got many Native American in her family as well. Super stoked about that. Joanna said Scott, Irish, Melunian. I never heard that. And Jewish Middle Eastern here. I'm a mutt, but God loves me. We're all mutts, technically. But I think technically I said I'm Irish, but I think based on my grandma's maiden name, we're probably more Scottish than Irish, to be honest. But it's all the same area, really, honestly.
We're all from him.
Gina, you're not supposed to go back to sleep. You're supposed to get your day started.
Well, it's like 6 o'clock there.
Yeah. We're going to call it quits for the night, folks.
Hour and
a half later. This is almost as long as that show where we talked to Brett Canfield about his relationship with his fiance. We need to call him one of these nights and figure out what's going on there. We have been so blessed to talk to you guys tonight. We thank you very much for tuning in and listening to us ramble about our lives. Blessings on you guys. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for sharing this time with us. And we pray that you all have a blessed week this week. May the Father go before you and prepare the way ahead of you. May he shine his light upon your families, and may he provide truth and strength in the times when you need it.
I'm going to pray for them.
I just kind of did just now in what I said.
I know, but specifically for their wives.
Okay.
And for them talking to their church tomorrow.
Okay. Well, we're going to pray for you guys for Cindy's talking to their church tomorrow, you said?
Yes.
Okay, and then for Justin and for Mark?
Yes.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we come before you right now. Father, we thank you for this time that we've had together with these people here online in our stupid little show that we do. We thank you for this fellowship that we have. Father, I want to uplift Cindy and her husband Robert to you. They're going to be talking to their church tomorrow about their belief in the Torah and what your word says. Father, I pray that you give them the words to speak there. Father, I pray that there would be a blessed conversation what they have. Father, I ask that there would be seeds planted during that time, that those seeds would find fertile ground, and that, Father, that from this they can find more fellowship, and Father, I know they're new in this, Father, but that they can bring more people into the fold, and more people into the knowledge of the truth of your word, that your Torah still stands for today. Father, I also pray for Justin and for Mark with their wives. Father, I pray first of all that as men, as the leaders of their household, Father, they can walk out your word every day as an example for their families. Father, that you would speak to them and give them the direction that they need and how to lead their families. But Father, I also pray for their wives, that Father, their hearts would be open to hear your word. Father, they would be receptive to the truth. Father, I pray that you prepare their hearts to hear the truth, to know what is contained in your word, to know that your Torah is still for today. And Father, that you have laid out the plan for us of how you want us to live our lives. So Father, I pray that seed that's there, Father, that it will be on fertile ground and it'll grow up into a strong plant, Father, a tree rooted in your word. And Father, that those men can grow together in your word with their lives, with their wives, in their lives, with their families. Father, we thank you for all this. We thank you for the many blessings that you bestow upon us. We ask for continued blessings on our lives, that you continue to guide us and direct us in all that we do. In your son's Yeshua, we ask this in his name. Amen. Good night, everybody. We love you all.
Good night.
We will see you next week. Shalom.
Shalom.